All the meeting to order. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the city in which we live. Guide us this evening as we make our decisions. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, this is a Newnan City Council, June 17th, 2025. Not a regular meeting, but a work session. We have one item on the agenda. Let me remind everyone that this is a work session. This is not a public hearing. The purpose of the work session is for the annexation request to annex 2025-03 by Greg A. Rogers of 1.994 acres on State Route 34, portion of tax parcel 073B, 033, and .4996 acres on Roscoe Road, a portion of tax parcel 073B, 032, and the zoning request for RZ 2025-5 by Greg Rogers, 20.019 acres on 204 Roscoe Road, tax parcel 073B010. Requested zoning is RU7, urban residential, single-family dwelling, high-density district for the development of 61 family detached homes. The process here is that staff, Mr. Cole, how are you?
Good evening. I'm fine.
Staff
Thank you.
gives council a presentation. Council has an opportunity to ask questions of Cole or the applicant who is here this evening. And we appreciate everyone being in attendance. But once again, not a public hearing. So, Mr. Cole,
Yes, sir.
it's on you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. As you said, Greg Rogers has applied for rezoning of 20.0119 acres on Roscoe Road, also known as 204 Roscoe Road. And as I talk, I'm going to give you some bearings here where we're talking about. The rezoning piece is the larger piece here in the middle, currently in the city. The request is to rezone the subject property from CGN to RU7 for the purpose of constructing 61 fee simple, 1 or 2 story single-family detached homes. And I'll provide a summary now of the report that was sent to you earlier. The same applicant is also requesting the annexation of a portion of tax parcel 073B, 033 on State Route 34 bypass containing 1.1994 acres, and a portion of tax parcel 073B, 032 on Roscoe Road into the city limits. And I can show you where we're talking about here. The Roscoe Road piece is right there in the little yellow shaded area to be annexed in, leaving a 50-foot strip along the road in the county. And the State Route 34 bypass piece is there, also, like the Roscoe Road piece, leaving a 50-foot strip in the county. The reason for those strips on each side is to prevent landlocking of parcels around them. These tracts will be combined with the existing larger piece that is seeking rezoning for the development of the 61 homes at 2.8 units per acre. This density is under the required maximum density of 4 units per acre in RU7 zoning. The resulting total project size will be 21.71 acres as demonstrated on the concept plan. I'll show you that. And the proposed development will feature natural green space and planting areas. There will be a maximum of 10% allowed as rentals. The homes will be constructed of masonry and hardy board, including the accents. As shown in the application and in your packets, the homes will exceed, 2,000 square feet with a proposed $390,000 home to a maximum of 3,200 square feet with a proposed $550,000 home. The minimum required open space per dwelling is 1,000 square feet. This would equate to a required 61,000 square feet of open space for those proposed 61 lots. The applicant is proposing 244,000 square feet of open space, equating to approximately 25.8% of that proposal dedicated to open space. I'll go ahead and show you some of the facades we're talking about as well.
Cole, would you mind an interruption for a question?
Absolutely.
Do you have the rear elevations of any of those houses that will be along the bypass?
No, these are all we have provided.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. The Coweta County Board of Commissioners voted on May 6, 2025 to file no objection to the above referenced annexation petition and provided no conditions to be included in the final ordinance if approved. Director of Engineering Michael Clark stated that Roscoe Road is considered an urban minor arterial and would be sufficient for the proposed dual entrances. Also indicated by Mike Forbush, landscape architect, was that the tree management plan has met the minimum plan requirements. And in conclusion, on June 10th, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning request and the annexation request by 6-0 vote with the following conditions. 1, developers work with the planning and beautification staff on the State Route 34 screening. And I can kind of show you what we're talking about there, which would be the screening between State Route 34 and, as the mayor mentioned, the backs of the homes. Developers shall maintain 30 to 40-foot buffers between the development and the adjoining cash and green properties. A fence shall be installed for screening purposes. And just quickly to show where that's talking about, we have the cash and green properties in the county right there where the red dot's pointing to. So the condition was to leave a 30 to 40-foot buffer between the proposal and those two properties, including installing a fence for screening purposes. The project will also meet all city requirements, including the tree conservation and landscape ordinance, and be consistent with the concept plan, density, project data, amenities, proper conditions, and elevations provided as part of the submittal. We be limited to 61 units, and finally, a final plat will be provided reflecting the combination of all tracks. And that's all, Mr. Mayor.
Any questions, Mr. Cole? Staff on that?
Well, I have a question. For the, those 50-foot, or, the partial annexations, specifically the one on Roscoe Road.
Yeah.
It says not to landlock. What would that be landlocking it?
Yeah, I can demonstrate
As
this
I'm
for
looking,
you.
it doesn't look like it's, why not just go right out to the road?
I'll show you.
Across the streets, the city
Exactly. It's across the street.
is the city. That's the problem.
Yeah, so
Or the issue.
as the mayor is saying, when you look over here, you have this section here, unincorporated. So we're talking about the prevention of landlocking these tracks across Roscoe Road.
Okay, so that's just enough to consider
Yeah.
it landlocked.
It is.
Okay.
Similarly, on the other side, we have some land south of the proposed annexation site, and we need to leave that 50-foot strip open there for the same kind of reason.
There's no easement for access to that property elsewhere?
I don't believe so, to my understanding.
No,
Excuse me.
sorry, access and landlocking in terms of annexation are two different things.
Yeah, I think it's all, are you
Mr.
talking
Cole,
about
if you-
just
if you-
accessing that lot?
If you'll repeat what Mr. Motley said, because the sound system won't pick him up. Or Mr. Motley, if you'll come forward and speak into the
I
mic.
will, I
Yeah.
think the confusion is when we talk about landlocking for annexation purposes is creating an island. It's not necessarily an ingress and egress issue at all, it's just
Correct.
trying to avoid that.
So all of it gets annexed, or not all of it. Explain to
Not
me
all
what.
of it.
Not all of it.
Correct.
So what happens one day when, so down the road, if the rest of that property comes in the city, the group needs to come in if they wanted to and request that little strip to become part of the city? It's another whole annexation meeting?
Yeah, I mean, it for sure have to be addressed at a future,
We can't annex and just say, we got to leave this open for these guys if they need to.
Well, of course, this property owner is still gonna own that piece
Yeah,
that is not coming in.
sure.
All right, and that piece has no access off the bypass and has no access from the apartments. So if you were to want to annex that piece, you would have to annex all of those apartments or townhouses. You would have to annex everything that is outside the city and then everything toward Jackson Street up there
All right.
on the EMC property. So that's why the 50-foot strips are there, is to create that connectivity between the unincorporated county. And you will notice that we have the same issue across the street.
I see it.
Do you see with the
Yep.
50-foot
Okay.
strip up
Thank you for
there?
explaining that. Okay.
So that creates the entire connectivity all the way over to Jackson. So, I mean, it is annexable. Now, the problem, and we've tried, there have been several attempts to annex it all, and most of the property owners wanted to come in except for the apartments. And the problem is, if you do the 60% annexation, you have to get 60% of the owners of the property, of the majority of the property, plus 60% of the registered voters. And so there was the apartment owners canvassed their people and told them not to vote to come into the city or to sign up, because if they did, their rent would go up. So that all fell apart.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, my only concern was that we're leaving these 50-foot strips, you know, as a last retreat discussion, we're trying to reduce these islands and effective islands. Effectively, this is still an island.
Yeah,
And
if
so
you
it just-
recall, if you recall during those discussions, we presented a plan for some of the easier islands. This is not technically an island, has a different method, but we did say that it would certainly be desirable to clean up these city limits, but it's just a little bit more of a complicated process than some of the initial ones.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got that condition several places on the exterior perimeter of the city, right?
Oh, yeah, this is not unique.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's not really common, but we could point to another probably, half dozen situations.
So anything else from Mr. Cole or staff?
One more question. What's the connectivity by sidewalk or link for this community into the city of Newnan?
In particular, the sidewalk.
Like, say I'm in that neighborhood and I want to walk downtown. How do I do it without walking in the street?
Mr. Martin?
You take your life in your own hand and walk on Roscoe Road.
I see people walking all the time, and there's a sidewalk, I know, on the far side of the street, but I don't know what the city's sidewalk plan is out here, because of course it wasn't in the city. And I don't know where it starts on the opposite side of the street, where it is in the city.
Is there,
Mr. Craven?
Councilman, the sidewalks pick up at Christian Drive.
Okay.
And so, but the unincorporated portions between there is almost
Okay,
there's
yeah.
no sidewalks there.
Yeah, we got that, close, like Sprayberry's has that. Okay, I got you.
Yes, sir.
Little goat trail to get under the sidewalk. Okay, thank you.
so is there a plan from the developer to install sidewalks at all or not?
Wired in those.
On his property.
Yeah, his plan currently is for internal sidewalks.
Internal only?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I had a question to the mayor's point about the rear elevations there on the state highway.
And I was going to hold off on that because
Okay.
I think Mr. Cole said he didn't have that. So, Mr. Motla, are you representing the applicant here tonight? Could you speak to that issue, or is there someone else in the?
I am here on behalf of Mr. Rogers, so I can speak to,
Hey.
I guess, any issue, but Finley Trosclair is here, he'll be building the homes.
Okay,
So I think the area on backing up to the hospital road or to the bypass as it is would be builder plannings. It'd be
Right.
ultimately how he wants to do it. The question came up at the planning commission about, I guess, protecting the eventual home buyers. And I don't think anybody wants to protect the home buyers any more than the builder who'll be selling them the home, so.
that's right. Well, if the builder could come forward and state his name for the record, please, we will ask him about that. One of the purposes of this work session is to give the applicant an opportunity to hear what we say, and then at the public hearing, bring forth information that we talked about tonight that necessarily wasn't in part of the presentation. So my question was, the back elevation of those houses.
I can address that.
Sure,
Our back elevations on those plans are rear patio with a big gable roof over it. Mike Furbush, I think, saw them today doing an inspection with really nice, big
Okay.
porches with big gable roof coming off of the house. And as far as the rear planning, we follow the landscape plan, the architect by Mike also can attest it. I'm in the Crest right now. It's similar product, if anybody like to look on Old Atlanta Highway, I think they speak for themselves, good
Okay.
quality houses.
All right, so, given the the rear build-back line, how close is that rear build-back line to the bypass road?
I'm not familiar with the plat because we're buying the property. I'm not been privy to the
It's
development
not
of
to
it
that
yet.
point yet, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then, Mr. Furbish, if you'll come up, I'll ask you a question about that,
Put you on the spot.
the buffer.
Sorry, I didn't dress appropriately.
No, you're fine. So the buffer on that particular part of the bypass, on those houses, what, Mr. Cole said something about that? Refresh our memory on what that was? What is the density on that?
Put you on that spot.
It's, the question, all of this revolves around not just what the back of the house is like for the homeowner, but,
What do they see from the road?
yeah, I want him to hear this, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand exactly what we're talking about. There is no existing trees, or very few, on that side of the property. And I have not seen exactly what the distance between the rear property line and the actual right-of-way is. There is a guardrail
Right.
that runs right along that pathway. I don't believe there's much planting area to provide screen, if that's what you're wanting to do.
Okay, so that's one of the things that's coming out of this work session that we would like to see when you come before the council for approval on this, at the actual public hearing, is what that, and I'm looking at a picture, Mr. Craver's got his laptop up, and you're right, there's a guardrail, and then it's open field. So what the traveling public is gonna see is the backyard of every one of those houses. Now, although you described it as a nice-looking elevation, they're gonna see everything, the swing set, all of it. So what my position would be that there's some type of screening there, landscape screening that would help, not only the property owner, but the traveling public's gonna see it, but the property owner's gonna be in their backyard, and that's a heavily traveled road,
And noise on top of that,
sure.
a lot of noise on the road.
Can I just add, I think for the builder would help that possibly to give a visual, just drive down McIntosh Boulevard and you can see the backs of the very nice townhouses, et cetera. However, to what you're saying, Mayor, is a great visual as to what we don't want. Would that be
That's
safe to say?
correct. Yeah, perfectly said, thank you. So that's what I've got. Anybody else got anything else for the applicant?
If I could ask also, the road, the houses backing up, abutting to Roscoe, there's a couple of those that look like they're pretty close too. What's the plan for those houses in that one corner
Which
lot?
houses you talking about?
The ones there on the right side on Roscoe Road, they look like there's at least two houses, and even maybe
You
that,
talking about before that? They're on the left, if you're going out, they're on the left, is that what you're talking about? I mean, that's apartments at a convenience store on the right side of Roscoe going out.
no, I'm
He's talking
talking
about
about
the
the
houses on the
houses
left.
in this development.
Houses on the left.
That's what I'm saying. There's a brick ranch, I think. I think that'd be isn't that for Brick Ranch is the last house there?
There's the
No,
green and
there's
the
two
cash
houses,
property.
Two
Yeah.
lots that back up.
First house, the nearest house, or the one adjacent house, is John and Susan Green's house, and I met with them, before the planning commission. There's, green space left, and I believe, there's a fence that's been proposed to help them. Their house is really close to the property line as it sits.
Yeah,
And I
Mr.
think- And Mr. Cash also, he spoke in favor of the rezoning at the hearing. He's also concerned about his, any green space that might be left at his house. And I think the builder did volunteer to put up a fence for him also. But, you know, he was glad to see the single-family detached as opposed to the commercial development that was originally planned.
Councilman Carrico, were you suggesting you were concerned with the potential new homes
in the,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
And what those elevations and how they may interact with Roscoe Road?
Correct.
Okay.
Similar to the mayor's point about the ones along the state highway, the ones also on Roscoe.
Anything else? Anything for the applicant?
I do have one question, and you all may have answered this, so I apologize for being late. It's
The raining?
cats and dogs.
Again,
Do you plan on putting fencing up around these yards in the back as well? Is that part of what you're proposing?
Well, not
Jim, Mr. Butler, if you'll come to the mic, we can't, the sound system just won't pick you.
putting fencing along the Green property line, the John and Susan Green property line,
No, I'm talking about
And-
around the individual.
around the individual lots. I don't think there's any plan to fence around the lots as it stands.
While you're up, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So it's two entrances coming in out of Roscoe Road? That's right. If you take that southernmost road all the way to the end down there, and it kind of forms like a cross right there, a T, is that to connect over to that other community there?
That's a hammerhead cul-de-sac is what that is, where if the fire truck went down there, it could back in and come back out.
So there's no plans to connect to the other
There's no
neighborhood?
plan to connect to anything.
Because it looked like that other neighborhood had left a gap there to connect.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, I wouldn't think it would be appropriate to connect the single-family detached with the townhome development. So, no, there wouldn't be any plan to do that.
Anyone else? Okay. Staff, have anything else? That's the right answer. Good for you. Okay, hearing no other questions, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, we adjourn from the work session. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you for being here tonight.